Good
morning. Joyce Blowers at Delightful Quilting and Sewing, a Nolting dealer in Avon, New York, with another Tech Tuesday for you. I've had a request to do this particular Tech Tuesday because the problem that I'm going to cover is something that happens especially with pro owners, and it may happen only certain times of the year, and it might happen a couple of times a day. And there's a reason for that, but it's absolutely nothing wrong with your nolting. There's nothing wrong with the pro. There's nothing wrong with your tension or any other of the common things that you might think about. But it is an adjustment that needs to be operated. One of the things about the pro machine is that the controller that's here in the front and in the rear of the machine are extremely sensitive to fluctuations in the power. And I've had this happen, especially during the summer when my air conditioner turns on. It kind of draws power away from my machine, and as a result, it kind of upsets the take-up lever and the adjustment with that. This adjustment is extremely easy for you to do on your own. There's no need for you to call Dan at Nolting. This is something that you can take care of. Now, the symptoms of this particular adjustment, or that you need this particular adjustment, is if you find that when you press your single stitch button and your needle doesn't come all the way out and you're not able to pull that bobbin thread up. When you pull on the top thread, that bobbin thread is kind of stuck and it won't come up. Or you may notice that the needle isn't up as far as it's supposed to be, and you kind of hear it dragging across your quilt, which you don't want it to do. Those are both indications that you need to run what we commonly call the B1 setting. It's an adjustment setting. So we're going to go around to the back side of the machine, and you can do this right off at the side of your quilt. You don't need to take anything off or do anything special. Just leave your needle, leave it threaded, leave your needle up here, down in what you have, and go around to the back side where we're going to operate. Now, all of the adjustment settings that are done on these machines are done at the controller at the back of the machine. So we're going to walk around to the back. A resource for you is your Pro manual. This is the user manual for the Pro machine. And on page 27, it says adjustment procedure. The very first thing that we have to do is we have to put the machine into the adjustment mode before we do the adjustment that we want to do. So on page 27 of your Pro manual is the adjustment procedure. Put your machine into the adjustment mode. On the very next page, it is the very first one that we're going to do. It says needle positioning speed adjustment, needle positioning speed auto adjustment. And the machine is calibrated inside. It'll go through a cycle and it will recalibrate the take-up lever. And this is what I watch when I am running this setting. I'll see this go up and down in different positions, and finally it will rest right here. Right here, about 3/4 of an inch down, is the correct position on the Pro machine for this take-up lever to be, for the needle to come up out, for that thread to be able to draw the bobbin thread up, and for the needle not to be dragging. Those symptoms that we talked about a second ago. So I'm going to show you how to do all of this. Put it into the adjustment mode, and then run that setting. One of the things I would say here, it's very important to read. It says to enter the adjustment mode, hold the red single stitch button down while turning on the power. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. And we'll hear a beep. Then we're going to notice that a light back here is going to be flashing. That'll indicate that it's in the adjustment mode. We're going to do some settings here, and then we're going to run that setting. Now, one of the things I would point out in the instructions here that are a little bit unclear, under the needle positioning speed auto adjustment, it says push the red button. This is a little confusing because on the back of the controller is a red button, your laser light button right here. That is not the button it's talking about. It is again talking about the single stitch button, the red single stitch button. That is the one that you press. So in your instruction manual, you may want to put red single stitch button right in there so that you know that it's the red single stitch. When I work with new customers, I always change it in their book so that they know what button it's talking about. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to turn our machine off and turn it back on, holding on to our red single stitch button. So I'm going to reach down here, turn off my main switch, hold my red single stitch button down, and turn it on so that it will go into the adjustment mode. So you hear it beeping one time, and here's the light down here that is beeping on and off. So this is the indication that it is in the adjustment mode. Once I have it in the adjustment mode, I can now go ahead and do the settings right here for the needle positioning. Now it's called the B1 reset or the B1 mode because I'm going to turn my dial all the way around so that it is lined up with the B1, which is a basting stitch, our inch-long basting stitch, but it's lined up with that B1 position right there. Once I have it aligned with the B1 position, then I'm ready to go ahead. I'm going to make sure that I'm over top of my piece of fabric up here. You just run this over something. If you have thread in your machine and you're doing this, one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that you move your machine around so that your thread doesn't pile up underneath it. So I'm going to press my red single stitch button back here. You hear it beep 3 times, and then if you watch up here, it's taking stitches, and you can see that the take-up lever is readjusting here. Now I'm going to run it one more time just so we go through the whole thing. So we've set it up on our adjustment mode. I press the single stitch, red single stitch button back here. 3 beeps, and again the take-up lever is going to go through a series of cycles going up and down. And when you hear it beep 3 times, you know that that adjustment has been made. Now it will take up to 20 stitches. If you only get 1 beep at the end of 20 stitches, you need to run the cycle again. When it is set correctly, you'll hear those 3 beeps that it is set correctly, and you're done. Now the key to all of this is you must remember to turn your machine off with your main switch here when you're done, and then turn your machine back on again. We have to take it out of the adjustment mode. Do not go ahead and just start sewing with it. You have to take it out of the adjustment mode. Now it's out of the adjustment mode. I know that because this light is no longer beeping at me, no longer blinking. So it's out of the adjustment mode. So now I know that that has recalibrated my take-up lever, and I'm ready to start stitching, and I would not have problems with the stitching. Again, I will be able to pull up my bobbin stitch or my bobbin thread and go ahead and stitch. Now I've used the back controller here. If I'm doing a pantograph, for example, I want to remember to reset this to whatever I'm using it on. If I'm at the front of the machine, I have it touch that controller. I'm all set to go ahead and sew. So this is commonly called the B1 reset if you need it, and oftentimes this is something for me anyway in my studio when my air conditioner turns on, or maybe even when my husband turns his welder on out in the shop. Draws a little bit of power away, and it kind of upsets the balance in the operation of the machine. Nothing wrong with the machine, and fortunately it's very easy to fix. So that's Tech Tuesday for today. I have more information on this as well as other tips in my book, Guide to Quilting with Your Nolting, which is available on my website, www.delightful-quilting.com.